1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling chant down Babylon kingdom. Team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It's your boy, Jermaine Event. Episode 107, we're calling this bad boy Bojack Rogan. Yes. Episode 107 is called Bojack Rogan. I thought of that episode, or the title of the episode, the other day at work. It popped in my head right away. I texted my wife. I was like, fuck. Bojack Rogan. I didn't know. I was thinking about, if I should talk about Joe Rogan this week. And I think the real answer is I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't talk about Joe Rogan. Let me turn myself up here. Couldn't even hear myself a second ago. I would be doing myself a disservice, or at least anyone who happens to listen to this podcast, at least, I'd be doing you all a disservice if I did not talk about Mr. Joe Rogan. Ladies and gentlemen, before I get into that, I want to say I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are taking care of each other, yourselves and each other. There's still a pandemic going on, whether you want it to be or not, it's still going on. So I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. But as I said, this is episode 107, Bojack Rogan. If you guys are unfamiliar with Joe Rogan, you see, back in the 90s, he was on a very famous TV show. Mr. Joe Rogan. In my head, that sounded a lot better. I was like doing the voice perfectly. I think I got it a little better at the end there. But through my smokiness and just I didn't even practice it. I didn't even practice it other than in my head, which is something I got to get out of habit of. I usually practice in my head. You know what's funny? Just to sidetrack from this Joe Rogan shit, just to digress. Like back when I would go to open mics a lot, and I'm about to start doing that again. But back when I was younger and going to open mics a lot, some of the older cats would say to me like, "Man, I can tell you work real hard on what you're doing here," and I'd be like, "All right, yeah, man, yeah," but nah, it's like I rehearse in my head. Like, my rehearsals in my head, like, I wrote it probably in 20 minutes, like, the whole song in probably, like, 20 minutes, like, it's not saying that, like, I'm not saying that it's not hard to do it, but it definitely took years for me to be able to do it in that way, you know what I'm saying? Definitely took a long time. I still have some of my rhyme books with some of my rhymes from when I was, like, 14. You know what I'm saying? I still have some of those rhyme books. And it's fucking terrible. I'm not even really rhyming. I think because, and I still think about that now, is like, that was around the age when I had just learned, like, about haikus and shit like that. I was like, yo, poetry ain't got a rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So I was just, like, writing bars, which I feel like is, here we are today. But I'm rhyming. That's the progression. Before I was like super avant-garde, you know what I'm saying? Like just fucking wild. But as I was saying, this is episode 107. Get back on the subject. Bojack Rogan. Bojack Rogan. If you guys don't know Joe Rogan, he previously the host of Fear Factor back in the 90s. He was he was an actor on the show Talk Radio, which I'm personally not the most familiar with, but Whenever I've talked to like older people and I've mentioned Joe Rogan, they're like, "Oh, that guy from talk radio." All older people seem to know Joe Rogan. They seem to have been big fans of talk radio back in the 90s. So, and if you're not, like, I want to connect the dots for you guys. If you're not familiar with the show Bojack Horseman, it's a fucking horseman that talks and is a Hollywood actor, cartoon on Netflix. Rogan, being an actor on the show in the 90s, back in the theme song for Bojack Horseman, back in the 90s, I was on a very famous TV show. I'm Bojack the Horseman, I'm Bojack, don't act like you don't know. That's my shit, ladies and gentlemen. That's my shit. And so, yeah, back in the 90s, Rogan was on that show. And it ties in, ladies and gentlemen, because recently, Joe Rogan announced that he had COVID. All right? He caught COVID on his recent comedy tour. As if you guys should have heard here, I was there. Was it the first stop? It might have been either the first or the second stop on the tour was right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I went and I was at either the first or second super spreader event. My wife and I, we were there. We're proud. Thank you very much. Actually, my wife was not feeling Joe Rogan at all. Not feeling Joe Rogan at all. And it's kind of because of this shit we're talking about right now. And it's funny because Joe Rogan posted that he got COVID on his tour. And what's funny is that part of his set, I was saying, I don't really want to go into like what they were talking about. But part of what he was saying was like people tried to cancel him because of like they feel like him saying certain things about COVID, like they're taking his advice, and he's like, I'm the wrong person to take your advice from. You know what I'm saying? Like he's just some guy who gets fucked up on like and records a podcast with his friends. You know what I'm saying? That's his perspective in his stand-up that I saw with him. And then here he is posting that, yo, I got COVID. And then he lists this fucking cocktail of fucking shit that he's on. One being Ivor fucking whatever the fuck it's called, and I'm honestly happy to not know. Let's play it. He's got it. I don't think it's fucking copywritten. It's fucking Instagram. Let me play it.
Hello, friends. So, I got back from the road Saturday night, feeling very weary. I had a headache, and I just felt run down. And just to be cautious, I separated from my family, slept in a different part of the house, and throughout the night, I got fevers and sweats, and I knew what was going on.
I've been there.
I got up in the morning, got tested, and turns out I got COVID. So we immediately threw the kitchen sink at it. All kinds of meds, monoclonal antibodies, ivermectin, Z-Pack.
Ivermectin. That's where we're going to go from.
Bodies, ivermectin, Z-Pack.
He's going to explain what that shit is.
Everything. And I also got an NAD drip and a vitamin drip, and I did that 3 days in a row. And so here we are on Wednesday, and I feel great. I really only had one bad day. Sunday sucked, but Monday was better. Tuesday felt better than Monday, and today I feel good. I actually feel pretty fucking good. That's the good news. The bad news is we have to move the Friday show in Nashville. I
don't know if he's going to explain, but I thought he was going to explain. But that fucking, that ivermectin shit, people go on to explain that it's like something that's used to deworm a horse's heart It's like some medication for a horse. And I've seen like, I saw a post that was like the FDA speaking out against it. Like, I saw something that said YouTube, see, that's why I'm touchy about even talking about here, will remove anything where someone talks about the use of that shit. Or if someone advises the use of that shit. And I remember my wife was like, good, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, good, yeah, you probably should, because if it's fucked up, it's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the bleach shit when the president of the United States, Donald Trump, suggested that niggas fucking drink bleach or inject bleach to fucking get rid of COVID. Remember when the president of the United States, well, it was a sanitizer. He was talking about injecting sanitizer and drinking bleach. The president of the United States was talking about this. The guy y'all want back for another 4 years is talking about drinking bleach and putting fucking hand sanitizer in his veins. That's your boy. So this shit is used to deworm fucking horses' hearts and all this shit. They were talking against it, and we're like, yeah, it's good that they are. And then before I even started talking about this, but you know, my one theory about it, my one question was like, how do I know Rogan isn't trolling me? That was my thought. How do I know Rogan wasn't trolling me by even saying that drug in there? Just because I've seen him live, and he's like, you guys are fucking idiots if you take medical advice from some dude who gets fucked up and records a podcast with his friends. You know what I'm saying? That was part of his act. And now he's talking about some shit they're saying that you only use with horses. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, did he just fucking troll us, me and you, into talking about this shit? I feel like he did, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like he just fucking trolled us all into talking about this shit. Because here we are. But then, like, right before I'm fucking recording this episode, this is where I was going. But then I forgot that I forgot to mention that. Or I noticed that I forgot to mention this little part that I just mentioned. And catch up with me. But I was like, let me just Google this real quick. Let me see what any recent news about this ivermectin thing has said. And right away I see a Rolling Stone article that says some shit. I'm not even going to repeat it here. And I copied that link into my fucking notes. And I was like, well, I'm going to bring that up. And I almost like started recording, but then I was like, no. Let me just go and read a few more articles. I got time. Let me just go through and read a few more articles, right? And the very next article, right under this fucking Rolling Stone article, is, the Rolling Stone article is from 2 days ago. The article right under it is from today, 6 hours ago, and it says Rolling Stone issues apology for the fucking article that I just fucking copied and pasted into my notes. So I'm like, what the fuck? And it's like, because the fucking first article posted via the Rolling Stone was claiming that fucking gunshot victims had to wait in lobbies because people were overdosing on ivermectin. That's what the Rolling Stone article claimed 2 days ago. The Rolling Stone posted that 2 days ago. And then today, under that article, is Rolling Stone apologizes for the first article that pops up when you search this. I hope people are looking at that second article. Because why is that get rid of the first article. Get rid of it. Take it down. I don't know if that's a thing you can do. Take it down. Or put a big redacted over it. Get it out of there. Let them know that this is false information. The first article came out, and then 2 days later, you got in this other article doctors who are mentioned in the first article in the fucking Rolling Stone are like, I haven't worked there in 2 years and I've never treated somebody who's overdosed on that drug. It was just a bunch of fucking misinformation in the previous fucking articles. So, I don't know. I guess just do your research. Don't just read one article. If you read one article that looks interesting, read 2 or 3 more on that same subject. And then see how you feel. Don't feel so comfortable with just what you know from that article. Find out some new information. Get a new fucking point of fucking knowing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's best for everyone. We get a little better standing. That's what I do know. I mean, that's what I don't know. What I do know, ladies and gentlemen, is if you want to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine. You can email this podcast at Babylon5podcast@gmail.com. You can follow this podcast. If you're listening right now, go ahead and head on over to Podbean and follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcast stream. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me. My gamer tag is SauceBoss414. I'm also on Twitch. If you guys want to find me on Twitch, you can find me at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You can go ahead and buy some merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. If you're enjoying this episode, go ahead and purchase some merchandise. Tag your, wear it, take a picture, post it to Instagram, tag the podcast. That'd be pretty fucking dope. I'll give you a shout out. That'd be pretty fucking cool if you guys did that. If I didn't say the link, go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my Negroes, be my patrons. Be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. Be my patrons. Be my patrons. As I said, it's just, I brought down the tears. Ladies and gentlemen. It's just $1. It's just $1. And you too can be a patron. There's fucking wrestling going on and I'm getting distracted. We were going through fucking River West earlier and it was niggas on their porch. It was like 3 white dudes on their porch and they had a fucking TV on the porch and they was drinking and watching AEW's pay-per-view. Shout out to them niggas. Cause that's fucking cool. Like, as I was saying, I haven't really watched wrestling in a while, but it's starting to look cool again. They got fans back. They got CM Punk back. Fucking, it's starting to look interesting again. And who loves more drama and pageantry than this nigga right here? Maybe Ron Funches. I don't know. I don't fucking know. You know what I don't really know, nigga? I'm fucking so lost. On, like, my Facebook, I've fucking done some Google searches, nigga. I've fucking listened to a few of the podcasts that I usually listen to. And there's this crazy divide on Donda. Here we are a week later, and honestly, I felt like I was doing everybody a disservice to talk about this album last week when the day it came out. Are you crazy? You only gave it 2 hours. You only gave it 2 hours. You only gave it one listen. You didn't even really listen to Heaven and Hell and realize, yo, I need more of that. Like, I need a lot more of that. Like, the album could have been longer. You know what's crazy? Like, you listen to some songs and they're shorter. And you're like, yo, why wasn't that song longer? Like, and the whole album's 2 hours. And it's like, fuck, I could have used more music by the end of it. That's how I felt, ladies and gentlemen. We're a week removed, and I'm seeing a huge, I'm seeing a gap, nigga. It's the fucking Red Sea. They've parted the fucking Red Sea. And on this side is me and niggas that hear this album. And we're like, yo, this is a fucking masterpiece. This is some of the greatest shit I've ever heard. I listen to this Kanye album and I'm fucking inspired. I want to make music. I want to fucking shoot videos. I want to fucking do everything. I want to do everything, nigga. I want to rap. I want to sing. I want to do it all. I'm inspired by this album. The fucking bass lines are crazy. Just like, I'm like, the beats are alone. The beats alone should have people like, yo, this is nuts. The beats alone should drive people crazy. And yet, I don't understand. There's this fucking divide, ladies and gentlemen. There's this fucking divide. Where here we are on this side like it's an instant classic. And here I am a week later giving it more than just the first 2 hours, actually listening back and discovering more joints that I like. You know what I'm saying? Discovering more joints that I'm really like, that I'm really into on this album. I'm on this side with the classic, and there's this other side on the other side of this Red Sea that says the whole thing is garbage. All right? They say the whole thing is garbage, which is nuts to me. I feel like there's, my theories are that these people are trolling, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to believe these people are fucking trolling. Because how do I hear it and me solitary, I'm like, fuck, this shit is amazing. And then I start hearing other musically inclined people I know also, they're liking my post. They're loving. I'm seeing the shit they're posting. Everybody's vibing to this. But these people here, like, this shit's garbage. Like, it's like I maybe liked one song on the whole thing, and it's like, well, what are you talking about? There's no skips. I'm like, these people must be trolling. They must be trolling. I saw somebody say some crazy shit like, is he crazy? This is 2 hours. I thought he learned how to edit by now. I saw some nigga on Facebook say that, and it's like, what are you talking about? That sounds to me like you didn't listen to the whole album. And now you just feel like you need to comment on it because it's trendy. Because you are a fan and you feel like you need to say something. Because Kanye just dropped. So you need to say something. I've been waiting for Kanye to drop this whole fucking podcast so I can talk about Kanye. You niggas ain't heard me really talk about Kanye this whole time. I'm a fucking Kanye stan, ladies and gentlemen. All right? You niggas ain't, if you heard me on the old podcast, and not the new podcast, then you would have known that I was a fucking huge Kanye stan. And I still am to this day. To this day, nigga, I'm a Kanye stan. But even with that, like, with any album, it's like, I forget what the Jay-Z fucking lyric was, but you can't just, like, give it one fucking listen and then all of a sudden you have your fucking opinion on the whole album just off one listen. That's crazy. More so than that, you're probably skipping some things. So you don't even know what you possibly missed. If you're skipping some things, let's say I'm not religious, you know what I'm saying? I'm not a religious person. And let's say because of that, I skip a song like Jesus Lord. Like, it starts out, I'm not a religious person. It's tell me if you know someone that needs Jesus. Lord. You know what I'm saying? What if because I'm not religious, I skip that song and I miss Jay Electronica's verse and I walk away from that album saying some bullshit like, oh, that album sucked, that album was trash, he's on that super religious shit. Meanwhile, I didn't even fucking listen to the whole song. Didn't even listen to the whole album. I heard some part of it and I was like, nope. It's not automatically the greatest thing I've ever heard. I needed it to sound one way right now. I needed to press play and it be Gold Digger. So I can be like, oh yeah, it's just the Kanye that I love. And then I'll be like, greatest album of all time. But he pressed play and it wasn't what I ever heard before. It was fucking some phenomenal shit you've never heard before. Jail starts the album and it's fucking nuts. It's nuts, ladies and gentlemen. He starts the album off nuts. And then by the time you get off, by the end of, we off the grid, for my kids, for when my kids have kids, everything we did for the crib. Yo, this album is fucking nuts, ladies and gentlemen. It's fucking nuts, okay? I was like, should I talk about this album for a second week? Yes, sir, I definitely should. Because I didn't appreciate it last time. I didn't have it long enough. I didn't know how good it was yet when I first got it. And now that I've had some time to sit with it, ladies and gentlemen, I know what it is. I know what it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's fucking fire. I have created fire. That like the scene from fucking Castaway. That's what just happened, ladies and gentlemen. That's what Kanye West did. This shit is fire. It's fire. And when I see these people saying the album's too long, are you telling me you didn't listen to the album? Because that's my whole point. If you didn't listen to the album, then don't fucking tell me it's trash. Because you didn't listen to the album. I need you to sit down and listen to every fucking second of that album. Every second. And if you didn't, if you heard like, some of the songs, I was listening to it, but it's long as fuck, so I turned it off at this point, then don't give me your feedback on it. Tell me don't say the album's whack. If you haven't even made it to Jesus Lord, if you haven't even heard Jail Part 2, you haven't even heard the rest of the album. You didn't hear the locks on there. You didn't hear the locks on there at the end of the album. You didn't hear Larry Hoover Jr.'s little bit on there, which I think is super dope. You didn't even hear the album. What are you critiquing? You didn't even hear the album. It's 2 hours long. And I'm sorry if you just look at it and you're like, that's a daunting task, I don't want to do it, then say that. Don't say the album's trash. And you haven't even listened to the album. You didn't even hear Jay Electronica. You didn't even hear The Baby. You didn't even hear Marilyn Manson. You didn't hear it. You didn't hear Jadakiss. You didn't hear Styles P. You didn't even hear it. You didn't even hear it. Yet you niggas got a fucking critique about it? Posting about how it's trash? Posting your fucking random opinions about... And it's like, I'd understand if it was some average shit. But it's not. It's not. I hear it and it's a masterpiece. So it's like the saying, like, if you're not going to say something nice, don't say anything at all. And it's just like, if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, why do you feel like you need to fucking interject? Just to fucking troll? Does that make you feel better? Nah, because it makes you look like a fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? I hear that verse on Off the Grid from 504 and I hear Ye's verse and it's just like, this shit's nuts. It's crazy. And for people to say the whole album is garbage, he's got Lauryn Hill samples in there. Fucking, oh my God. It's fucking fire. Heaven and Hell. Alright. You niggas ain't heard the song Heaven and Hell, but it's fucking amazing. And, damn, I'm curious. Curious if my camera turned off there. Let's see what happened. Yeah, it did turn off. Why didn't it just turn off in the middle of me recording? Let's see what happens. Here, I'm going to turn it off, turn it back on. It should be charged because I didn't use it earlier. I went to, shout out to the LOL, Laurel Sulfate, Ladies of Leisure. I went and saw them at Mary's Hamburgers. We were there for about an hour, dipped out. It got real broy. Like, I think niggas came in from one of those cycle taverns and got real broy real fast. And then I was just gonna help my wife with some things anyway. I got her studio, so just went and helped her with that, and we dipped about. But shout out to the LOL. It was pretty dope, like on that rooftop at Hamburger Mary's. That's at Mary's Hamburgers. Hamburger Mary's. This is what it's called. That's what it's called. Shout out to y'all. But yeah, I just think niggas is trolling because this album blows my mind, honestly. It's one of the greatest things I've ever heard. It's honestly so good. And it's like he mixes the hood genre, the pop genre, with the gospel genre, with all these fucking like EDM kind of like bass lines. It's fucking his own genre. It's Kanye. I was saying to my wife, it was weird. A few months ago, there's this girl I was working with. She's younger, and she was saying how she doesn't like Kanye's music. And I was like, wow, you've never listened to Kanye. You know what I'm saying? It's not a matter of if you like Kanye West or not. It's like, oh, you've never listened to Kanye. That's what you're telling me right now. You're not saying like, oh, like I don't like Kanye West. You're saying I've just never listened to him. That's all I hear when you say I don't like Kanye West. I hear, oh, I've never listened to Kanye West before. And then I remember I mentioned to her, like, Gold Digger. And she's like, oh, he sings Gold Digger? And I was like, yeah, that's Kanye. And she's like, oh, I like Kanye. I like Gold Digger. And I was like, yeah, so you already like Kanye. And you didn't even realize you like Kanye. You're hating on, well, you're hating on fucking headlines. News headlines. But this music is undeniable. All right? So if anybody says, yo, it's trash, and I'm hearing what I'm hearing, and it's like, yo, you're a fucking dumbass. If we're talking about this album, you can say, yo, I don't like him as a person. That's fine. That's fine, but I don't feel like this is debatable. He's created his, like, own genre. He's created his own genre, ladies and gentlemen, and it's fucking phenomenal. Donda is phenomenal. It's like you just don't know fucking how much you needed some new Ye until you get it. And then it's just like, be thankful, ladies and gentlemen. Be thankful. Drake dropped the album. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. I seen some shit about how he's on some weirdo shit. I seen multiple posts. Some shit about how he's trying to smash the little girl from Stranger Things. Some line he was rapping on his new album about smashing the girl from Stranger Things. He got R. Kelly a credit on his album. R. Kelly getting paid off his album, who's on trial for all his like sex slaves and pedophilia and all this shit he's done over the years. It's like I'm reading, oh, R. Kelly's doing this. R. Kelly and Aaliyah. Oh, they're detailing all this shit. Then the next day, Drake drops the album and he has R. Kelly a credit on here as a writer. He's about to get millions off of that. It's fucking weird. He's just doing some weirdo shit. Only time I've ever felt like I missed out on some shit with Drake, because I don't really listen to his shit these days, is when I heard Glow, which is essentially a Kanye West song on a Drake album. When I heard Glow, I was like, fuck. That was when Israel Adesanya walked out to it, and I thought it was, like, so amazing. Like, I was like, holy fuck. Watch out for me, I'm bound to glow. You know what I'm saying? That was just like, that was a Kanye song on a Drake album. That's the only fucking Drake song that I've missed out on. So I don't feel like I'm going to necessarily miss out on too much. Though, what was that song? The Mob Ties. I listened to that album when that came out, and I thought Mob Ties was fire right away. So I thought it was super dope when the Bucks would walk out to it, because I was on that album right when it came out. For whatever reason, I felt like that. I think that was possibly maybe the time he was beefing with. I think he was beefing with Pusha T around that time. Yeah, that's when the Pusha T beef was happening. And I think I was on the old podcast, and yeah, so I listened to the album. That's what happened. I wouldn't have just listened to the album. I was on a podcast oriented for hip-hop. So I listened to that album, and I thought Mob Ties was fire right away. So I was happy I caught up with that, but I don't think there's too much more Drake, too much more weirdo shit that I'm missing on. You got weirdo shit Drake been doing with Billie Eilish. How many teenage girls are going to come out and say the same shit about Drake that they say about all these other celebrity pedophiles? Fucking Wilmer Valderrama, fucking Fez from that 70s show. Like, all these fucking celebrity pedophiles. They're out here in the open with it. And y'all just give it a pass, man. Y'all give it a pass. But, so I'm not missing out on too much with this Drake shit. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. Men's Warehouse, my nigga, I guarantee it. Just had UFC Vegas 36, ladies and gentlemen. Some notables from UFC Vegas 36. Welcome to the UFC, Paddy Pimblett, ladies and gentlemen. Paddy Pimblett makes his debut versus Luigi Vendrimi. And Vendrimi, something like that. And I thought Paddy was going to get knocked out. He was getting caught with these clean punches with his chin up in the air like a boxer. What was that fucking, I think it was from Dave Chappelle's stand-up. I think he was talking about, like, he hates when a girl tells him when to come. He loves it when a girl tells him where to come. Just takes it on the chin like a boxer. Anywho, but, Paddy's taking these on the chin. Not good. Because you're supposed to tuck that chin. He's chin out, getting rocked. Looked like he was about to, there's that one point where he got dropped. And, yeah, it looked pretty bad for him. But he was able to get back to his feet. And then it was back and forth at that point. And then all of a sudden, it was like Paddy just went Super Saiyan and just caught this nigga with a flying knee, hit elbow, spinning back. He started just fucking, all these strikes just started coming out of nowhere and just hitting in the perfect spots. He just overwhelmed Luigi Vendrimi, and I'm just fucking like, come on, Paddy! I'm screaming. Like, it was super fucking exciting to see, and he knocks out Luigi Vendrimi in his UFC debut. Paddy Pimblett, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know this nigga name yet. But they're calling this nigga the next Conor McGregor. He's going to need to shore up that boxing if we're going to call this nigga the next Conor McGregor. Ladies and gentlemen, he's definitely going to need to shore up that boxing because he was getting hit clean, ladies and gentlemen. And to be the man, you got to beat the man. How many losses has Conor had in a row? He beat Cowboy at welterweight, but he lost to Poirier twice. He lost to Khabibers. So that's 3 straight losses at lightweight, I think he should have to move back pretty far at this point. I mean, they're not going to do it because it's Conor. But I say do it right now. Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor. Do it right now. Do it as fast as you can. I think you could do it in Conor's next fight. Paddy didn't really get hurt too bad in the last fight. He could probably fight twice by the end of the year. And given next year, put him in that, he'd probably be prime position, like, if not in the top 10, top 15, if he wins these fights. I say he can fight twice. Let's say he wins first round, finishes. Next two fights, not really hurt too much. He could be right there in prime position to fight Conor McGregor. We get a Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor in 2022, ladies and gentlemen. I say book that fight as soon as you can. Because with the age of Conor, way things have been going lately, I'd say book that fight as fast as you can. And if you're Conor and you see the way he was just taking them clean punches, I say book that fight. Why not? Have the fight over in Europe, and you got a fucking crazy, put it in a fucking soccer stadium. Paddy Pimblett versus Conor McGregor in the UK, man. Fuck it, do it. Wherever the fucking Manchester United niggas play, Manchester United Field, Manchester United Soccer Stadium, that's where them niggas is gonna fight. All right? Fill that bitch up. Book it. Book it. Knees, elbows, all kinds of shit. I didn't see if he called out anybody. Oh, yeah, he didn't want to say any names. He said he's down to just fight whoever. He said he's not going to give anybody any publicity off of him. He wants to fight whoever they give him, they put in front of him. He's not going to say no names. So shout out to Paddy. Another victory that was pretty interesting. Another fight that was interesting. It's not necessarily the victories, but Khalil Roundtree. Congratulations to Khalil Roundtree Jr. He wins his fight against Bukauskas. So when I saw the weigh-ins, like, my pick for coming into this card was Bukauskas. But at the weigh-ins, I'm looking at Khalil Roundtree, and I'm like, yo, this nigga's in the best shape I've ever seen him. Cut up. Right? Looks like he's in the best shape I've ever seen him. I was like, that could be a problem. But who knows? Maybe. But he looked like in the best shape I've ever seen Khalil Roundtree Jr. And he goes in there fucking just all over Bukauskas with these fucking heavy punches. Quick, heavy punches all over Bukauskas. Busts up his nose. Just all over him. All right? All over Bukauskas. Bukauskas is on the run. He's about to get knocked out. And then toward the end of the fight, Bukauskas was going for a jab. And I think Khalil, like, he slips it and then just stomps this nigga's knee in. Like some Muay Thai's fucking technique as it is. And he stomps this fucking nigga's knee on the side and breaks this nigga's leg. Alright? Khalil Roundtree breaks this nigga's leg in the first round with a fucking knee stomp. Right away you got niggas talking about this shit needs to be banned. It's the dirtiest move, blah, blah, blah. It's pretty dirty. But it's combat sports. That's a technique that people do in Muay Thai quite often and they train to defend against. There's examples of people like Robert Whittaker attempted it against Israel Adesanya and he got caught with a kick to the head. Holly Holm attempted it against Amanda Nunes. Kick to the head. Michelle Watterson attempted it against Rose Namajunas. Guess what happened? Kick to the head. There are defenses. You step. They seem to. If they see it coming, they step back. They sidestep back and then fucking throw out a high head kick. Because when that person throws that leg stomp, they leave themselves. If they miss, they leave themselves completely exposed, overextended. You're in the worst possible position. So, Watterson, was, knocked out, or she looked pretty knocked out after that kick. Holly Holm fucked up, that was the end of the fight from that kick. And we all know fucking Adesanya finished Robert Whittaker. So there's people who have successfully defended against that leg kick, but that shit's fucking nasty. And Khalil Roundtree gets a first round stoppage via breaking this nigga's leg with a fucking knee stomp. Jeez. It's random as fuck. I was thinking about knee stomping niggas on Saturday. I just had a vision of knee stomping niggas. And then later on, I was like, did I fucking will that to happen? I was thinking about knee stomp. I was thinking about, that happening. And it happened. And then in the headliner, you had Darren Till versus Derek Brunson. And my pick was Derek Brunson. As I said, I wouldn't mind Darren Till getting the win there. He's a fan favorite. I like Darren Till. He's a cool dude. But from what I've seen from him as far as grappling is concerned, and what I've seen from Derek Brunson as far as grappling is concerned, I was pretty certain that Derek Brunson was going to dominate this fight. And sure enough, he did. As far as it came to the stand-up, Till was able to catch Brunson from time to time. He's strong, he's quick, but, there were certain times where Till would throw out these feints, and it would make Brunson, jump off to the left. He would react super hard to these fucking feints, and Till wouldn't even pick up on it. He'd see it happen and then just, not even, attack to that direction, he would see this person continuously move off to the side, duck off to the side every time he threw that feint, and then he'd just throw a random combination at him, no matter what those reads were telling him. So, I don't know, man. Till looked like he was in probably the worst shape I've seen Till fight in. He didn't, I don't know what's going on with Till, but he didn't look too good up there. And he was out grappled. When he was taken to the ground, it looked like, he was holding on to Brunson, wrapping his arms around Brunson, which if you're in jiu-jitsu and you do that on the first day, though, one of the instructors will come up to you and say, hey, so that holding move you're doing there, you shouldn't do that because you're never going to be able to get out of there. All you're doing is keeping me on top of you. And it's well, one, if you're in competition, you're not going to score any points by just staying under your opponent. You're not going to be able to get from under there by just holding on to them. So that's never something you want to do. So right away, that's what Darren Till was doing, was holding on to him. And Brunson ultimately gets knee on belly. And Darren Till just lays there with this man's knee on his chest. It was on his belly, over his torso, knee all on him. He's just laying there, and Brunson just starts teeing off on this man. And I'm like, dude, he ain't even gonna shrimp out. I remember the first time somebody hit me with knee on belly, nigga. That shit, I was like, what the fuck? They hit you with that knee on belly, you don't... That'd take the wind out of you. You don't expect that knee to come to your stomach, nigga. Or if they hit you with that body triangle, you don't expect that shit to come. That'll take the wind out of you. You know what I'm saying? So right away, in the first round, it was clear that Darren Till didn't have the acumen of what to do in that situation. He was on the ground in side control, getting beat up, knee on belly, getting beat up. So round one, he gets beat the fuck up on the ground. Derek Brunson, it seemed like the fight could have been finished, honestly, to me, in a few points in there in the first round. Beating the fuck out of Darren Till. His eyes almost swelled shut. His right eye's almost swelled shut in this fight after the first round. Second round, Brunson shoots until he he shoots and grapples for a minute or two straight until he finally got Till down. and he's just like beating him up while Till is just trying to hold on to him, not trying to get up, just hold on to him. And I gave that a fucking 10-8 in that round. Till did nothing in the second round, and then finally, it didn't matter with the scorecards because Till was finally fucking using leg kicks and trying to like shut down the shooting of Derek Brunson, trying to stop him from shooting on these takedowns. And he was able to catch Brunson. But as I saw in some reviews of the fight, the reason he was able to catch Brunson was because in traditional martial arts, you move with your front foot first, right? With your front foot first. I believe it's your front foot first. And instead, he moves with his, or maybe it's the other way around. Whatever, he moved with the wrong foot first. I believe, I think you're supposed to move with the front foot first and the back foot second. Because if you move with the back foot first, if you move with the back foot first, then you kind of are standing up straight at that point, and you make yourself a bigger target. So you move with the front foot first, and your lead foot first, back foot is second. And he moved with the back foot first, and as he's taking that second step, he's like off balance, and fucking that's when he was getting caught. When he was just, Till caught him at the perfect time. He's moving. He's not moving in the way that he should have been according to the way martial arts is done and according to best practices, and he got caught. And Till rushes him after getting wrestled for 2 straight rounds and beat up and tries to fucking finish him. He's been getting beat up and ends up getting taken down to the ground, and he gets his butterfly hooks in and tries to flip Till off of him, or he tries to flip Brunson off of him, but to no avail, really. He tries to, because the way Brunson's head position is, he has to flip him toward the cage, and it's just like he's just still right there on him. And eventually, he's starting to get beat up on the ground again, and he turns to get out of this because he's getting beat the fuck up. And Brunson just sinks in a choke and Till taps out right away. So Darren Till loses again. Brunson calls out Israel Adesanya for his rematch. He says he's willing to wait for the rematch. He's not broke, he says. Contrast to fellow middleweight Jared Cannonier. He says he's not broke and he's willing to wait for his rematch with Israel Adesanya. I think he's got better striking. I think maybe more patient in trying to set up his striking. But I think with a lot of the fucking things that were happening in this fight that Darren Till wasn't capitalizing on with the feints, if that same shit was happening in the fights as it did in the first fight, and if it probably will in the rematch, if or when that happens, I think the fight might end even quicker for Derek Brunson. I think Israel Adesanya will get a faster finish. I just don't think Brunson's on that level. But this is MMA. He looks like a better fighter, so who knows what's going to happen. I'd love to be proven wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. I'm saying what I'm saying here based off of what I've seen and what I know. I don't know what he's doing in his training. I don't know any of that. I don't know if we're going to see a more improved fighter come whenever the fuck they fight. I don't know. I'd love to be proven wrong. I love when it happens. Because I'm only basing what I'm saying based off of what I've seen. I don't know what they're putting in. I don't know the work they're putting in. So please prove me wrong. Please go out there and look fucking better than I've ever imagined. I love it when it happens. But I don't think he's going to be able to beat Adesanya in a rematch. But I'd love to see it. And I think for Darren Till, honestly, man, like he's just getting manhandled in there. He got manhandled in there for 3 rounds by Derek Brunson until he was finally over. And I think he needs to fucking get his nutrition in order and move back down to welterweight. I think this whole thing at middleweight, I think they're just too big and too strong for him. Like, I think welterweight is where he and Kelvin Gastelum should be. I think that's what's best for both of them. And I think lightweight is best for Conor McGregor. Or I think 145, I think featherweight is actually best for Conor McGregor. And I think you guys should follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Babylon5Pod. You can follow my personal account at My Name's Jermaine, if you so please. If you guys want to email this podcast, it's at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. You can listen to this podcast, or you can, most importantly, you can follow this podcast. If you've made it this far, go ahead to Podbean and follow this podcast at Babylon5.podbean.com. You can listen to this podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, YouTube, pretty much anywhere podcasts play. If you guys are on Xbox, go ahead and add me at SauceBoss414. If you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and add me there. I fucking post from time to time. I play some games at twitch.tv/Babylon5. You guys can go ahead and purchase some merchandise. Go to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And don't just be my Negroes. Be my patrons. Go to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod. And this has been episode 107, Bojack Rogan. Thank you guys so much for being here. And I will see you guys next week. Hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other. And I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.